again. Thanks so much for joining me. Today I am out in the garden. I'm in a bed where I have both asparagus and strawberries growing, and I am picking both because it is the middle of June and my asparagus is almost done for the season and the strawberries are just getting started, and it's so much fun to be harvesting both at the same time. Now, I'm growing both in one garden bed because this is an experiment that I started almost 4 years ago now, actually. I saw an article by another larger homesteading blogger about how to grow twice as much in one space, grow your asparagus and your strawberries together, and how it's just this really nice setup of both plants thriving and doing well, and being able to just harvest more out of the same space. And I thought, well, I'd love to experiment with this. Let's give it a try. And so I've had this project going for a few years now of growing asparagus and strawberries in the same space, and thought I would just update you on how that's going and what I've found so far, because at the end of this growing season I'm actually going to be putting this project to bed and separating out the two crops. What I've found personally is that while the asparagus of multiple different varieties, I've tried this experiment a few different ways with different types of strawberry plants, with different varieties of asparagus. With all the different types of asparagus I've grown, I've found that they have done fine. Definitely not any better than asparagus grown without strawberries, but not really any worse. The strawberries I have found have really been a different story. Again, I've tried multiple different types of strawberry plants using this asparagus and strawberry combination, and regardless of the type of strawberry that I've grown, I have found that the yield of strawberries for the area and the number of plants has definitely been reduced when it's growing along with asparagus, and I've found that the plants themselves, while they look healthy and they're doing well, they don't reproduce as readily, they don't send out as many strong, healthy runners. Whether it's Sparkle or Chieftain or there's another type that I've grown in here, an old Nordic type. I'll link to it in the show notes when I think of the name. None of the varieties of strawberries that I've grown along with asparagus have thrived in the same way as strawberries that I have grown in their own space. And again, I pay quite a bit of attention to my strawberries because it's a favorite crop of ours. I'm pretty good about making sure that they have room to grow, that they're well fertilized, that, I have found because the strawberries just don't do quite as well as when they're grown in more of a monoculture setup, more intensively just growing strawberries in their own space. At the end of the season, I'm going to be digging up the whole bed, replanting it with only the asparagus plants, and then moving the strawberry plants to another 2 different raised beds. I'm going to separate them out and use the plants that I pull out of this bed to establish 2 new strawberry beds. That's what I found. I'd be really curious if any of you watching this have been experimenting with growing strawberries and asparagus in the same space, whether in the ground or a raised bed. Again, this was a raised bed setup. I'd be really interested to hear whether you found the same things that I have, or whether it's a system that's actually just worked really well for you. For me, after a few years now of tweaking this setup and really trying to find a combination of varieties and a concentration of strawberry plants to asparagus plants that works well, I've found that the strawberries just do not thrive as they do in any other situation where I'm growing them on our property. And so for me, this is an experiment that I'm bringing to a close. It was a successful experiment because I've learned a lot, but it is not one that I'll repeating because I feel like it is not the best way, at least here in Maine, Zone 5A, not the best way to grow either strawberries or asparagus. So that's what I've found. Again, if you have experimented with this as well, I'd love to hear about it in the notes below. All right, back to harvesting strawberries and asparagus. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll catch you soon.